What's going on, friends? Welcome to the living room. So glad that you are here. You're in for a special treat. I'm telling you, this episode is a must-see, must-hear. Do me a favor before we get into it. Would you press that subscribe button, hit the like button, press the notification bell so you can continue to receive more inspiring conversations. Thank you so much and enjoy today's show. Welcome to the living room where we listen, learn, and live together. I'm your host, Richard Martin. Make yourself right at home. I'm glad you're here. Let me share this with you, y'all. Listen, one of my favorite television shows to watch in my downtime with my wife is The Amazing Race. That's right, Phil Kogan, about 11 contestants, 11 teams of contestants who are racing around the world in a quest to be the last team standing to receive the grand prize of a cool $1 million. We've seen season after season after season, but I'll be honest, it's not so much the $1 million, although that's nice. And it's not so much the engaging and adventurous activities that they do, that's nice too. I just love the fact that for about an hour, I get to live vicariously through people who travel around the world. And if you aspire to travel, or if you consider yourself to be one who feels that the best education is exposure, then you're in for a treat, because our special guest is the quintessential global travel guide. I won't tell you how many places he's been. He's going to tell us himself, but maybe you know him from shows like Escape with Nate or Worldwide Nate. I'm glad to welcome to the living room today, Mr. Nathan Fluellen. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Man, everything is great. Can't complain over here on the West Coast. I'm excited to be on the show.
Likewise, man. It's an honor to be able to chop it up with you. I'm sure you get this quite a bit, but I've been seeing you on television, brother.
Yeah, that is. It's exciting to hear now. It still is surprising, but when I do hear it, it's like, oh man, that's what's up.
For sure.
I love it.
So, man, take us back. Let's kind of begin somewhere around the beginning. When did your love for travel begin? When did you first get a taste of that wanderlust spirit?
Man, that goes back to my childhood. I always, with my family, we did road trips down south to Mississippi or just everywhere. Always travel on the road. And I was always looking out the window, just curious about the world beyond this vehicle. And it just kept growing as my mother would go on missionary trips with the church. She had been halfway around the world, been to Brazil 5 times, South Africa, Egypt, Italy, and other places. She traveled a few places with my father. And then my cousins play ball overseas. So it was like, oh, my cousin Chris is in Australia or Brandon is in Spain. And then I have a cousin, Reggie, who's always lived out of the country working. But now he's in Macau, China. So he's been living in Macau for at least 10 years. And he's a big time guy at the Venetian casino. So he's like, a celebrity of the family, knows everybody. So I've always had a family that traveled. My cousin spent the summer in Greece with one of her college friends. So all the concept of traveling had always been part of my life. I just always put it in this bucket. That's what adults do. And so when I got to college, I graduated from Tennessee State University. But while I was there, my professor, I took this international economics class from my professor, Dr. Gallen Hull, and I used to tell him about how I'm gonna go to China and see my cousin. And after taking multiple classes with him and years of false starts, he's like, "You're not going to China." And then I was like, "Man, I'm going." And then he at that time he wrote his autobiography called Crossing Cultures, and it documented his travels to over 80 countries. And actually, this is the book right here. And then he signed it, and he wrote in here, he said, "I challenge you to see more countries than me and be an entrepreneur." And so when he said that, I was like, oh, well, I'm an adult. Like I could go in. And I was like, my family's been around the world. I could do this. This is nothing new. And so that was really like the water, the super growth that was
Sure.
on the grow fertilizer that just ignited the seeds that were planted throughout my adolescent years,
Yeah.
growing up.
Cool, cool. Listen, shout out to those professors who not only hear what we say, but kind of see beyond that and give us those challenges and those pushes. I can relate to that as well. So was the first destination China to see your cousin, or did it end up being another destination?
No, it was another destination, but in that travel, I did go see my cousin Brandon. But I started in Barcelona and visited a friend from high school. High school friend was doing a study abroad for her MBA program, so she was in Barcelona, and then my cousin Brandon was playing basketball in San Sebastian, which is northern Spain. So
Okay.
it was a birthday trip. So I decided for my birthday, I think I might have turned 21 or 22 or 23, one of those early 20s. I had decided I was going to do this birthday trip and go to España. And
Wow.
it changed my life.
Okay. Okay. So not to release all of the tension and not to kill all of the suspense, but just to go forward a little bit to come back to this point, man. At this point, as of the day of this recording in 2021, how many countries have you visited, man?
I've been to a little over 70. I don't like keep like an exact count. I just it's like I know I've been over 70, so it might be 71 or 72. And then once
Okay.
I like visited like a few more countries, then I'll start doing another count. But I'm not
Okay.
I don't keep like an exact count in my head or on the top of my mind just to
Sure.
not give any pressure, or just to make it like fun and about the going to the destination as opposed to racking up a country count. Because
Sure.
truthfully, I've been to Brazil 11 times. So if I really was about like numbers, I've been out of the country over 100 times. So that could have easily been visited. I could have easily visited 100 countries or over 100 countries by now. But it's more about the experience and just going and reliving those experiences with people
Sure.
and my friends and stuff. Yeah.
Sure. The reason why I wanted us to kind of start there is to give our listeners and our viewers the chance to process that. Y'all, we're having a conversation with a brother who has not just, watched The Amazing Race or kind of seen other Travel Channel shows, but man, Nate, I'm sure you've been through your fair share of passports by now. And so in these experiences, you have acquired a level of cultural competence. You have probably had people look at you a time or two and say, what are you doing here? You weren't just in the neighborhood. I remember having the chance to go on a kind of a cultural immersion tour when I was doing my master's, and we went to Israel, Jordan, and Turkey. Phenomenal experiences in all three destinations. And we were kind of touring like a religious experience, the 7 churches of the New Testament in Turkey. And we got to one particular destination. It was the ruins of Laodicea. We come out of the coach bus, and I just happened to be that particular day on that tour, the first person out. And there was a group of students, and the way they were looking at me, Nate, I could tell like they never really seen somebody who looks like me in person. Have you had that experience before?
Oh yeah, a lot. But when you said Israel, Jordan, and Turkey, I remember in Jordan, I can't remember what part of the country we're in, but it was like a Bedouin man, and he was like, "Come here, black man," and I was like, "Oh snap, that's what's up," for him to see me, and but then just have that comfortability to be comfortable and just have that camaraderie to say, "Oh, come here, black man," know that I'm a black man.
Yeah.
And but I always it's become like second nature now, but I've always get the stares, or I just process it as like, oh, they haven't seen black people before. Because I remember
Sure.
I was in Sardinia, Italy, visiting a friend who's from there. He used to have a beach club there. And I was asking, I was like, what's going on with all the people staring? He's like, oh, they don't see black people too often, especially, they don't see black people that were like me, that traveling the way I was, where I wasn't like a migrant worker. And I was just, going to restaurants and eating and just doing what I do. And I was like, oh, okay, that's some interesting context to where, even, the way I move in these different countries is, it can be new, to people as well. They may, because they may have seen Africans or, dark skinned people of African descent, but it's just in the circles and the way, the opportunities I had to be able to experience those countries is can be foreign to some people as well. So that's great, because what that does is it helps me achieve my mission of demystifying and changing the narrative of how Black men are viewed as well. So it's always me showing up makes a difference. With anything in life, you always got to show up.
Yeah, it really does, man. And I thank, first of all, my parents. They did a great job of exposing my sisters and I to travel opportunities, first domestically. And then my first international experience came when I was in the 5th grade, and it was a mission trip with my school. And I'll never forget, my mom was like, "You are not going out of this country without one of us." And so it just so happened to be a trip that my dad took with me. And we went to Mexico, went to Cancun, Mexico. And, you're talking about a 5th grader getting a chance to see the Mayan ruins and just beautiful beaches and stuff like that. And so I think that was probably when my bug was planted. But even then, like you said at the beginning, I think you spoke for a lot of young people, young adults, and maybe even persons who aren't used to seeing themselves in those who travel the world. Like, yo, you have access to the world. You aren't going to get cut off from planes. However, I will say this, that there are a lot of our listeners and viewers who have some very real barriers to travel. Some of it's financial, some of it's opportunity. So take us back again. Tennessee State University, you're preparing to graduate. Man, did you dive right into it with all the financial resources in the world? Did you have to sacrifice? Did you have to say, "Ma, can I hold something?" Like, how did you kind of stifle initial feelings of maybe apprehension when it came to, like, I don't know if I have enough money, can I really do this?
Well, see, that's a great question. So the way I attacked the first trip is that I did ask my mom and sister to get my plane ticket as a birthday gift.
Okay.
And then I, utilized my friend staying over there so I could crash with her, and I knew I would stay with my cousin. So my major expense was the round trip train ticket to go from Barcelona to San Sebastian, and then the food, and just the daily living expenses. So even when I think about traveling, I'm gonna have to eat regardless if I'm in the US or anywhere in the world. So that expense is not really what I calculate into a budget, because I'm gonna have to pay for food regardless. And so with that first trip, I was able to subsidize my costs, utilizing the mom, the birthday, the birthday narrative. Now, beyond that, I went into an industry where for one, it was like a hybrid. So I used to hustle like Air Force Ones and Jordans on campus. And transitioned into being the hustle man in Nashville, driving around with shoes and throwback jerseys in my trunk. And I just had this entrepreneurial spirit where I was I programmed my own life, and I had that flexibility. So it was really just about making enough money to sustain me while I was gone. And then when I exited out of that industry, I started being a manager for mobile marketing tours. So I would be on contract for from anywhere from 4 weeks up to a couple months. And at this time, that's when I was speaking and manifesting. I'm worldwide, Nate. So I just looked at that the job that was paying the bills, the mobile marketing tours, is my part-time job. But worldwide, Nate, I'm going to work. So I would just I would work and save up my money, and in between jobs, I would go travel, and then I would pick up another job or another contract once I finished traveling.
So what did you study at Tennessee State University?
I studied economics and speech. So my rationale behind that is I wanted to talk to people about making money. But right now, I just talk to people about traveling the world. So I'm still, running my mouth and utilizing my speech degree, so to speak.
But it comes in handy, because I was going to ask you, a lot of people travel, whether it's, again, locally, domestically, or internationally, and it's kind of just for personal fulfillment, which is fine. But you have been able to kind of wed your personal passion with kind of like documentary footage. And it's kind of led into, like you said, speaking and sharing and kind of exposing people to representation around the world. Man, how has that experience been, wedding the two? You've kind of gotten into the television production space as well as documenting your travels. When did that come in your journey, and how's that experience been for you?
Well, that came when when I would travel, I would document my experiences, and then this is when MySpace was bigger than Facebook.
Okay.
And so my had a blog section. So I saw the section. I was like, oh, let me share my experience in the blog section. And then people would comment and like it. And I'm like,
Sure.
whoa, like the reaction was positive. And all I did was say, this is what I did day one from sunrise to sunset. It wasn't like a travel and leisure, narrative story, but it was just, but it was cool to see that reaction where people were engaged, were interested in seeing what my experience was. So that gave me the data research to realize like, oh, I have something here because this is what I'm into. And then I was like, so I would go and travel with the intent to capture all my experiences and share it with people so they could see what I had done, and also inspire them to want to go have these experiences themselves. Or even if they don't go on these adventures, but at least know that it's possible.
Sure. So recently, you launched Escape with Nate, in search of Black utopia on the Africa channel. No smoke, man. I'm not just saying this because you're my special guest. Like, I was saying this in my own living room. I was like, yo, babe, to my wife, like, there's this new show coming out, and it's a brother, like, he's exploring Africa and traveling the world. And that launched me kind of looking and finding more about a previous show, Worldwide Nate. Man, for you, what's special about the continent of Africa? You've been several places, and we're going to touch on those, but what is unique and what is special and attractive about the continent of Africa?
It's finding that connection of feeling at home. I remember I went on a trip. I had some friends there from first generation Italians. Their parents are from Naples, Napoli. Wow. And I went to Naples with them, and we went to Naples, and we went to a soccer match versus Rome. And just to see that energy of how excited they were to be where their parents or their descendants are from, like their motherland. I was like, man, this is incredible. But I was also envious because my journey to go back to my home roots ended it, from my knowledge at the time was Laurel, Mississippi. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, I know that so I wanted to, that created that desire to have that connection with Africa. So I could feel like, when I'm on the continent or had the opportunity to go, that I could feel that connection and feeling of identity, of peace and comfort, and just being in Africa and being in the sea of Black people and not being special, and when you look at yourself in the masses, there's no whiplash that I'm here or, it's a Black person. I just had an experience where I remember when I was in Zambia, just standing on the corner in between shooting, and nobody paid me any attention. And just, so there was no threat of my life or my peace of mind, my safety. It was like, oh, I'm just blending in. I'm just another person. Nobody noticed that I was African American. It was just like, oh, I was just a Black person standing on the corner. And just that opportunity to not stand out was very comforting and peaceful. It's like, we all, like in America, we want to be the biggest, that's how they present it, or encourage you to be the top dog or the number one spot. But it was just like, I reveled in being one of many, one of thousands of millions.
Yeah, man, there is something special and fulfilling. I've heard it described as kind of, if it's your first time to the continent, it's almost like coming back to a home you've never been before. There's kind of a resonance there that as soon as your feet kind of land on African soil, similar to you, man, like I can only trace as far back as Georgia. I'm from Florida, and going back to my grandparents, maternally and paternally, and great grandparents, we stopped at Georgia. But we know at some point the history does go back to Africa. And so it was an exhilarating experience for me too, not even getting off the plane. Like, we had a layover in Senegal. It was like an hour refuel, but just knowing that the plane was on African soil, I was like, yo.
You flew South African Airways, huh?
Yes, indeed. You know where I am. I came from South African Airways through Senegal, and we were going to Joburg.
I've flown that route.
It was phenomenal.
That feeling too. Yeah, I remember that too. I remember landing for that hour to let the people off the plane, and then you just like, it was like the prelude to the real adventure. But she like, oh shoot, I'm in Africa.
It really is. It really is. Now help me out, man. This is kind of an aside question. I saw one of the episodes. I want to say, correct me though. You might have been in Lesotho. I don't know, but it was when you went like ice climbing. Where was that?
That was South Africa, but we
Okay.
had to. It's pronounced Lesotho, so
Okay.
we had to cross into the border of Lesotho and then trek back over to South Africa, to the South African side, and then the Drakensberg is like is this mountain ridge on the side of where Lesotho is. But yeah, I
Bro,
went ice climbing there.
you weren't afraid?
No, man, I had it. Not that to say that this has been scientifically proven. I just say I had this like fearless gene where it's just like, all right, let's do it. If it's exciting, it's adventurous, it's slightly dangerous. It's something that I, can do only in this particular place and have this unique experience.
Sure.
Like that's what drives me. I seek it. I'm a thrill seeker, and it just never gets satisfied. It's like, somebody says, something that I've never done before. It's like, let's do it. Or, I've also been ice climbing in Montana. So it was just like,
Wow.
oh, let's do that again. It was fun. And yeah, I just like adventurous stuff,
Okay.
that's me.
Do you have at this point what you would consider to be the most adventurous thing you've done? And if so, what is it and where did you do it?
The most adventurous thing is I did a 5-hour hike to the top of the Nyiragongo volcano in Congo.
Okay.
And it was I enjoyed every moment of it. It was very challenging. It's like 5 hours just moving. You have it's those 3 different stops, and along the way, just to take a short meal break. But it was exciting, and we got to the top of the volcano, and so you look down into the crater of it, and that's where the world's largest lava lake is. There's only 5 lava lakes in the world, and the largest one is in Congo. And there's another lava lake in Ethiopia, and then another one in South America. I can't remember where the other 2 are. So they had these permanent cabins up there. So you spend the night. So we hiked up to the top, and then on the second to last section, it started pouring down, raining. So we like had to hike through the rain because at the top is the cabin with the heat. So it's like you got to keep moving. And so we get to the top and we get to the cabin, get warm up. Then the porter had hiked up in front of us, so he made dinner. So I'm eating. So I had dinner at the top of a volcano, spent the night, and then woke up and had breakfast at the top of a volcano, drinking coffee, looking down at the world's largest lava lake, and then we hiked back down. So yeah, and I was I think the elevation was about 13,000 feet, and very thin air, and yeah, it was exciting. So I that was in one of my episodes. I think it was like the 11th or 12th episode. Okay. And I went to the Congo. So the Congo, I'll tell you this, is that my friend, this guy named Lakeith, he had designed my first business cards, and I'm originally from Chicago, and so he hit him too. So he had made the slogan on a business card from Chicago to the Congo. Yes, and I was like, oh, this is dope. But I was like, when am I ever gonna go to Congo? And so when I went to Congo, I felt like that was a completion of a chapter of my travel journey, or the first chapter, because I finally went to Congo, and he like predicted it, or made this what do you call it? He just like outlined my path for me. Sure. And without even knowing. And so that was so when I got the opportunity to sell and produce the show, I was like, I'm gonna take this opportunity to go to Congo.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of adventure, I'm from Florida, and I've spent hours, probably that add up to years, in the water. But man, I've never gone surfing. In fact, I will admit I'm probably one of many who was duped into the stereotype of who actually does surf. But what I'm coming to find out more and more is, a lot of Black people surf, right? And you are in a space where you are also demystifying not just the travel space in terms of what it means to be a Black man in the world, but also in terms of the kinds of adventures Black men and Black people in general are a part of. When do you get into surfing, man? And how's it been for you so far in the Black surfing scene?
Man, I absolutely love surfing. I was, same mind state as you, is that growing up, I grew up with a pool. I've been swimming since I was 10 months old, and I always wanted to surf, but I just saw white people. So I just looked at it as like, oh, that's what white people do. And so as an adult, getting into this adventure space, it was like a situation of a mindset of reclaiming my time. So when I got the opportunity to go surfing, it's like, oh, this is something I've always wanted to do. I'm going to go surf. And then when it came to my show, well, let me rewind. When I got to my early 20s, I started hearing Black people don't know how to swim. And for me, I grew up in an all Black middle class neighborhood. We had a pool, so we went swimming every day during the summer. So
Right.
all I knew was Black people knew how to swim. So to become an adult, a young adult, and hear this, and then just like kind of like do a little bit of research and like, wow, a lot of Black people don't know how to swim. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So when it came to my show, I was like, well, I'm not only going to show that Black people know how to swim, I'm going to show that, or Africans, I'm going to show that Black Africans know how to surf too. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I feed the Zulu surfers with Surfers Not Street Children in Durban.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really been consistently surfing since then. Before that, I did like a surf trip in Costa Rica and Mexico. But since 2017, I've been surfing and I loved it.
Yeah.
And so so I just what I say is that the chocolate tide is rising, because as I continue to surf, I've met some Black surfers, and so from that I've started Kavata Swimwear, which is the first Black-owned surf performance swimwear line. And so we're a growing brand, working to be able to get more people in the water, inspire more people to get in the water. And we also are doing this event called A Great Day in the Stoke. It was actually supposed to be on October 16th, but because of a recent 126,000 crude oil spill off the coast of Huntington Beach, it had to be postponed because of ecological situation. So now our new date is June 4th, 2022.
Okay.
And we're gonna have a surf competition, Black surf competition, free surf lessons, award ceremony, beach yoga, and raffle prize giveaway. So if you don't have time to get in the water before June, put on your calendar, June 4th, come out to Huntington Beach, and we can get you some surf lessons and get you on the board, and you can learn how to surf.
Yo, man, the invitation is out there, people. I accept it. I'm gonna try to make my way to Huntington Beach, June 4th, 2022.
Yes, June 4th, 2022. And the reason I call it A Great Day in the Stoke is I wanted to mirror the name off from A Great Day in Harlem, which happened in 1958, and then A Great Day in Hip Hop, which happened in 1998. So at A Great Day in the Stoke, we're gonna get a photo of like 500 Black surfers in Huntington Beach, which is nicknamed Surf City, USA.
Okay, bet, man. Yo, this is awesome, and I love it because it introduces, I'm sure, a great many people to the fact that, I love that, chocolate tide is rising. There are Black faces, Black frames in the surf scene. And you mentioned Kavata Swimwear, right? That's more than a clothing line, man. Invite us in, if you wouldn't mind, into how you were able to kind of translate family tragedy into this kind of ministry.
Yeah, at this point in my life, things have to have an impact. And so with starting Kavata Swimwear, I wanted to utilize it to be impactful. So Kavata is my late sister, Laini Fluellen. It's her middle name. So it's Laini Kavata Fluellen. And so our family started a foundation called Laini Fluellen Charities 11 years ago. And what we do is we raise funds for triple negative breast cancer, also known as TNBC, which is an aggressive tumor, which disproportionately affects Black and Hispanic women, which leads to lower survival rates. So my sister, she was diagnosed at age 35 and she passed away at 39. And the reason that TNBC we want to raise funds and awareness for research about this is because women, their insurance doesn't cover their mammograms until age 40. So It's about knowing that if you do feel a lump, to be able to call, when you call and set an appointment, let them know. Because my sister, she called, but because we don't have a history of breast cancer in our family, she didn't let them know in that call that she felt a lump, in her chest. And so they made her appointment 3 months later. And so by the time she came in, it metastasized the tumor to a size of a grapefruit.
Wow.
So it's that aggressive. And so with Kavata Swimwear, 10% of each sale is donated to Laini Fluellen Charities, because we need to do more research and do more clinical trials and get more Black women in these clinical trials so they can map the genome and come up with a more effective treatment, because the African diaspora is just that vast. Right. It's just so many different DNA strands, et cetera. So therefore, more research needs to be done, and then those clinical trials are important because right now the current cancer treatments are really they're geared towards or mapped based on white women. When we need to get more diversity into these clinical trials and research, so they can figure out how to have more effective treatments for Black and Hispanic women that this TNBC disproportionately affects. So I want to be able to use Kavata to get more Black people in the water, get more Black people served, and also bring more awareness about triple negative breast cancer so we can save more Black and Hispanic women's lives.
For sure, man. Much respect for that. And beyond the respect for what you've done in terms of translating it into this wonderful advocacy initiative, man, I know it's been a number of years, but still, in the past several months and years, I think we've all become a little bit more sensitive to many of the grief experiences that families have had. So I'm grateful that this has been one way that you and your family have been able to rally together and say, when we're by ourselves, we still have our moments. And I don't know if those moments ever really go away, but to know that it's kind of being invested as a seed that will blossom and bloom into something for the future is something that we definitely support and we are thankful for, man. As a man of faith, I want to ask you, as you have traveled extensively, as you have interacted with the global community, and I mean, you take off in one destination with one language group, one set of norms and customs, and you land in a completely different one. Man, how has it influenced or shaped or kind of expanded even your image of God in your travels?
Well, I'm a student of life, and then always learning. So, every time I leave, I go into each situation wanting to learn, how do they do these things, or what's their way of life and their customs. So that's allowed me to really have more faith, because I know that God is everywhere, and it's enriched my experiences, because I'm always learning, and I've accumulated a network of people around the world, and just learning like the history and what the truth is. That's why I like to go and find out for myself, as opposed to what mainstream media or even our history books in school would tell us. There's always my one of my older cousins, he always says there's always two sides to the story. So I like to see both sides, hear both sides.
For sure. That makes a lot of sense. The primary objective of this conversation platform is to learn by listening and living. I think that, if we develop, like you said, more of the capacity to listen and have in-person experiences, it makes a huge difference. You're not traveling by yourself, though. Here recently, you have brought the world, as it were, into a very intentional choice of yours, which is to travel with what I'm sure is probably your dearest travel buddy, which is your mom. Why is that, man? Why are you traveling with mom so much?
Man, bucket list with mom. My mom, my mom is actually a great travel person. And then also, I'm just thinking about the future, like my sister, she's not here. And then my father has passed as well. So I just want to be able to utilize my travel perks and my experience to share these experiences with my mother.
Yeah.
And be able to just to shower her and give her flowers and have these experiences. So when her time expires, I'll have a multitude of experiences that I've had with her, not just the best times being childhood, experiences that were years ago, but having these adult experiences with my mother. And then, just traveling with her, she afforded me the opportunity to do some amazing things. And so recently we traveled to places where I see the child in her come out, and it's just like, this is so cool. We went to we went to Disney World 33 years later, after she took me, and we stayed at the Four Seasons, and she went down this water slide, and just to see her say that she hadn't been down a water slide in like 50 years, and just to see how excited she was, it was like, man, this is totally worth it. It's like, this is cool. And because we always had these memories of like the parents being a disciplinarian or just a parent.
Yeah.
And now they're just just see this side of her. It's like, oh wow, I don't have to wonder what she was like growing up. It's like I'm seeing it right here, and and
Sure.
that's a learning experience to see how the kid in us never goes away. It's just
Mm.
that it kind of, because of life, it just gets packed in,
Mm-hmm.
and then so now to be able to see, to be able to provide the vehicle to unpack and have her relive these experiences is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. You are more than paying back that initial birthday ticket from years ago by taking mom on the trips with you.
Oh yeah, she's getting a great ROI right now.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Listen, man, storytelling is an art and a science. And as people have tuned in to Escape with Nate, or as we follow you on Instagram and kind of see how you are able to capture your experiences using the powerful economy of words, what advice would you give storytellers, content creators, when it comes to shaping narratives? And after you share that, man, if you wouldn't mind just kind of giving us a behind the scenes peek, how do you go from idea to manuscript?
Well, the simple answer to both questions is that it's all about the story arc. It has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So with the advice is, what's your story? It has to have a beginning, middle, and end. And if my secret is that I always focus on the beginning, middle, and end, that's the foundation of every story that I want to tell.
Okay.
Whether it comes from answering a question, or telling a long form story from a 2-minute webisode, or an Instagram story, or even a TV show or a film. It's always 3 acts. You got to have a beginning, middle, and end. And if you stick to that, and then everything will flow, and it'll be engaging and entertaining. So just never forget your beginning, middle, and end, no matter what, and you will always be a successful storyteller.
For sure. Let's talk about food a little bit, man, because everyone knows that, and you said it at the beginning, like you have to eat. In your travels, where and what are some of the best places you've eaten and things you've eaten?
Okay, well, I'm a professional eater, so that's part of my profession. It's what I do.
Okay.
So I'm excited to to share this professional expertise with you. So, best place that I've eaten, man, that's a tough question. Like I've been fortunate and spoiled to eat some great food any and everywhere.
Sure.
But you know what? But I will say, bringing it back home, New Orleans has the best food.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Like New Orleans is a culinary adventure. I mean, and then that just that mix of everything.
Sure.
Like from gumbo to crawfish etouffee, and man, even the Popeyes on Bourbon Street is different. It hits different. Everything, Cafe Du Monde, getting a bag of beignet. Okay. I can go on for hours. The buffets. I mean, just New Orleans is high up there, and I mean, sure. Like the usual suspects, like the French and the Italians, they have some great food as well. But yeah, New Orleans is one of those places where I know I'm gonna have to like starve myself for a week, drop 10 pounds so I can get back in a few days when I go to New Orleans.
Sure. Now the converse, we got to get that in there, because I think we can assume that at least one time you've been somewhere and you were just like, this wasn't hitting at all, or it didn't agree with me. What are you traveling with for those moments where it's just like, man, my stomach is not sitting well, so that your entire travel experience isn't spoiled and you can kind of get back on the beat?
Wow, where did I've had some terrible food? I would say this: the one dish that I don't have to eat again is in Lesotho. It's called Smiley. Okay. It's a boiled sheep's head. They brought the sheep's head to me with a black sheep's head with the black hair on it, and I had to cook it. I had to blowtorch the hair off of it, scrape it off with a knife, and then put in some coconut milk, and they seasoned it, boiled it. And I mean, I ate a piece of a goat's, the sheep's jawline, ate a little bit of the eyeball. Like, like I don't ever have to eat Smiley again. Yeah. That was one dish. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
But
I checked it off. I got the t-shirt, got the mug, but I don't have to eat Smiley again. That's wrong for that, man. And I love my people. I love Lesotho. But man, what a name, Smiley, and it did not make you smile at all.
But what was crazy is that, so we were like, we prepared it and it's cooking. So I had gave the crew some money to go down the street to get some food from this chicken and chicken spot that we ate at the day before. We had some good chicken and French fries, and they were like, "No, we're gonna wait for the Smiley." So then it made me realize, like, the way we got excited about, or me, I got excited about my grandmother's macaroni and cheese was the same, excitement that they have for Smiley. So as much as I didn't like it, I still learned to respect and appreciate their excitement, because I'm like, this is the same energy for that Smiley that I had for my grandmother's macaroni and cheese. So it was just beautiful to have that experience in Africa, to see like, wow, like that sheep's head is what's popping in Lesotho.
Yeah. That's real. And I'm glad that you brought it full circle, because even that has a lot to do with how our travels become those learning opportunities, to find the connections and the common ground. The it will often be very different. Mac and cheese for me, Smiley for someone else, but to just be able to have that common respect to say, yo, I'm excited because this is getting you excited. When it comes to prep now for your travel experiences, whether it's just personal or whether it has to do now with television production, like, what kind of preparation goes into mapping out where we want to go, the kinds of contacts and content that we want to make? I've seen on several episodes, like we just talked about, you'll do adventure experiences, whether it's climbing up, ice climbing. Also, like we just talked about, food experiences. I mean, I've seen you in wine cellars, and I didn't see the Smiley episode. Man, how are you preparing for these things? I'm sure that there's some grunt work to getting the nuts and bolts together, but share with us, in case there's a future worldwide Nate listening and watching right now, what are some things they need to be prepared for mentally to go again from idea to seeing it realized in the production space?
Well, reading is fundamental. Because the internet is easy to just a few clicks of a button. I do the research and on, what adventure stuff is offered there, or culturally, and even in the preparation, I'm learning about that country, that destination, because I'm doing the research to find out what is unique, or what did I not know about that place, or what haven't I experienced that I can do in that destination. So I'm always looking for that angle of what's new, what's adventurous, what's exciting, the things that really speak to me and my lifestyle. So, somebody that can be, that's into like alcohol, probably look at what local, drinks or something that somebody can do there, or health, what's the local health regiments, or what they have been doing, like, as far as non-traditional medicine that those people have done in those countries, because not every country has Tylenol, so always focus on things that speak to my narrative, which is adventure and food and some luxury and fitness, wellness. Those are the things that I try to focus on, and then that's my guiding light. So that's my North Star that keeps me on track and keeps me consistent with the type of stories that I tell.
Okay, most definitely, man. When it comes to communicating, and not just storytelling, but communicating across lines of difference, you plunge yourself in a variety of settings. Sometimes there's a very real point blank language barrier. But then even when English is an accessible language, at times, I'm sure just the manner of communication is differently. What advice would you give current travelers and future travelers when it comes to addressing those communication, perhaps barriers and or challenges?
Well, I'll give you the cheat code. The cheat code is to have T-Mobile service, because they got free international data and texting, and the Google Translate, and use Google Translate. So I've had conversations where I've like hollered at girls using Google Translate, and my jokes was hitting too. So I'm like, you know what? I love it again. But Google Translate is as long as you got data, man. Google Translate, like, all seriousness, Google Translate is a great app, or any other type of translation app that's out there. They're pretty intuitive, where you can, you know, they recognize the voice translation, or you could type it out, or even has the camera function where if you read the menu, it'll translate the text from that language to English. And it has it's pretty diverse in the type of languages that it has. I mean, it even has Zulu and Swahili and on Google Translate. So that's pretty that gets you around in, like, you know, Southern Africa or Eastern Africa, and then there's 14 countries in Africa that speak French. So you know, French is the second most widely spoken language after English. So that pretty much gets you around. So you know, that's what I've been using you know, currently. Prior to that, you know, it's just intention, you know, it's just it's been a while since I've had a language barrier, but you know, just you're able to figure it out. I mean, I've heard some stories where a couple have been married for years and neither one of them spoke the same language. And that's pretty fat.
Mercy.
Yeah. So it's just but fortunately I haven't had to deal with a lot of language barriers in my travels. And you know, as you know, the world is modernized, I don't think that is a bigger issue as it has been in the past, just with globalization and technology as well. I was talking to one of my French friends. He was saying that even the French, their knowledge of English is a lot better from when he was a kid, and he's probably like in his 50s now with 3 kids. So you know, the world has progressed overall.
Sure. Okay. Man, last few questions here as we come to a close. Where in the world has Worldwide Nate not been yet that you're saying, Rich, man, it's coming? These are some places where I haven't been yet, but I'm going.
Oh, well, like Ghana, Senegal, you know, West Africa, Cameroon. I took my DNA test, found out I'm Cameroonian and Nigerian. So Nigeria is on the to-do list. And there's some Southeast Asia. My mom, she said she wanted to go to Thailand or you know, like Southeast Asia. So I think she mentioned Indonesia as well. So little bucket list with mom in Asia. We haven't been to Asia yet.
Okay. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Is there anything that you have done or experienced, culturally speaking, around the world that you have kind of translated and kind of brought back with you to the States? Like, you're like, yo, man, I saw this was something they were doing, like you said, whether it's in the health and fitness space or anything else, where you kind of like, I'm going to take this and I'm putting this in LA or in Chicago, wherever you are in the States. It's something that you keep with you.
Well, wow, there's a lot. I try to incorporate a lot of my experiences into my life, but I would say the most impactful is, from my experience traveling, is just patience. And so that's the biggest takeaway that I've learned traveling. So it's funny when I'm in America and people are like, you know, they demanding, they want this, or, you know, just get upset over somebody at McDonald's that messed up their order or something. And it's just like, it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Especially when you go to other countries and they don't have, you know, as many fast food options or none at all.
Sure.
Or it's just the culture is to take your time and move slow, because it's just that that's the way the custom is in that different country, or the culture is different. And just seeing how entire societies function at a 180 degree comparison to America. Yeah. And so it's just that our way isn't the only way. So it's I always I've learned patience in a lot of situations where I don't get too riled up over anything, because there's billions of people all over the planet that are doing things a different way, and they're very successful at it.
Yeah, that's real, man. And I appreciate that. That hits home with me in a very personal way right now, man. I'm wrapping up some assignments for school and everything, and I want it to be done a lot quicker. But you just reminded me that, I've seen some people and seen some places who don't have wireless, don't have the, commodities that we have. And so patience is more than a virtue. It's a value that I think we all can exercise a little bit more. Man, we end our episodes by asking everybody this same question. If you could send yourself a text message 10 years into the future, what does it say?
Man, the text message that I would send myself 10 years into the future is, we're not done yet.
Yes,
We're
sir.
not done.
I love it. I love it. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Man, listen, Nate, would you please be so kind as to share with us where we can kind of support you, continue to follow you, share your social handles, where people can watch upcoming episodes? Let us know.
Well, on social media, you can follow me at Worldwide Nate on Instagram. Kavata Swim. Kavata is spelled Kavata SWIM. And then a great day in the Stoke is a great day in the Stoke, STOKE. Follow those pages, like follow and, like some posts. And then you can watch my show, Worldwide Nate African Adventures on Aspire TV every Thursday. And then also on the Africa channel. And then you can watch Escape with Nate on the Africa channel on Saturday and Sunday it airs. Also with a Worldwide Nate African Adventures, it's available on Amazon Prime, this streaming app called All Black, and throughout Africa and the Middle East on Discovery Family TV and DSTV. And if you're flying South Africa Airways or Emirates Airlines, you can watch it on those while you're in the air. A few episodes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, everybody, if this is your first time being introduced to Nathan Fluellen, I am sure that even as we have been talking, you've already been scrolling on Instagram, checking out YouTube, and you've become aware of him on your own. If you've been reacquainted with him, maybe you're like, yo, I saw him on television. I know that you've enjoyed the behind the scenes look he's given us in terms of how he got into this space and what's going on now, and continue to support. Join me in investing in Kavata Swims. Hey, make Kavata Swim. Make a plan. Mark your calendar for June 4th, 2022 for a great day in the Stoke. If you don't know how to swim, we have time for that. If you've never been surfing, hey, why not make this your first experience? Or if you have access to some help, some classes that can allow you want to stunt when you see Nate next year. You say, look, Nate, this is what I can do. Be prepared. Let's support. There it is. There it is. Let's support. Let's continue to do what we can to demystify a lot of myths out there, but also to represent and continue to support and encourage one another. If you have aspirations for traveling, I'm telling you, you never know. You are just one decision away, from one step away from a whole new world. That's all we have for this episode of The Living Room. I'm your host, Richard Martin. Our special guest has been Mr. Nathan Fluellen. Until next time, continue to listen, continue to learn, continue to live.